All right, everyone, here we go. This is the third and final game here between Liquid, Sheth, and SeleCT. This time we're on Shakura's Plateau. We can see here Sheth spawning in the upper right position as our purple Zerg player, and down over in the bottom left we do have got SeleCT as the yellow Terran player. So we're tied up 1-1 now in this best-of-3 series. This will, of course, be the final game. Cross-positional, Shakura's Plateau could very well be a long macro game. They're basically the furthest possible positions from one another. So it typically tends to lend itself to macro-focused games. So yeah, been a pretty interesting series so far. SeleCT really did a phenomenal job last game of trying to keep in and keep himself aggressive against Sheth, but unfortunately Sheth just fantastic work defending that early aggression from SeleCT, and then the Muta harass plus those counterattacks with Spielings and Banelings were absolutely phenomenal, and SeleCT could just not hold off against it. Really big thing, too, is that Sheth was sitting on a superior number of expansions than what SeleCT had for quite a while, and that just tremendous economic advantage put him way too far ahead, and SeleCT was not able to come back from it, not able to snipe off enough expansions, and not able to get that spawning pool in the main either. Made it so SeleCT really didn't have much of a chance at all. We can see right now Drone Scout moving around, checking what looks to be for a proxy barracks. He's looking for that possible early game aggression, much as he saw last game. Back here inside of the main, it looks like he will be coming out 15 hatch first in spotting that there was no proxy racks anywhere close to him, feeling safe enough to go ahead and drop that 15 hatch and then follow that up with that spawning pool up in his main. Back over here for SeleCT, looks pretty standard opening. He does have that refinery up right now. We'll be getting that saturated, so nothing too unorthodox here. Won't be seeing that 2 racks aggression as we saw last game. All sorts of things are possibilities right now, so we will just have to wait and see to determine what he eventually does end up coming out with. And there you go, Sheth delaying the drop there of that supply depot with his drone, although that will eventually get dropped. He's doing a good job of at least delaying that a bit. And there we go, actually SeleCT manages to get that down, no problem. We get that Marine that will be rallied to that opposite side of the racks to try to engage the drone, but the drone is heading back on home. Back over here for Sheth, he does have that hatchery 50% of the way finished. Also, spawning pool is in, and interesting to note that he does have that extractor coming on through. A lot of times you have been seeing Zerg players just go with that pool for quite a while and hold off on that extractor until after that hatchery even finishes, and that allows them to get their 2 queens early on, drone up very hard, but obviously not having that metabolic boost is a little bit scary, and maybe that's why Sheth is coming out with this at the timing that he is, to allow himself to get that out early enough to be able to defend himself just in case he sees any type of early aggression from his opponent SeleCT. Back over here, SeleCT is going to be opening up with the Hellion aggression and then probably moving right into an expansion as well. That certainly appears to be the case here. So we'll be doing that little hot swap there as soon as that factory and that reactor finished, transferring that right on over, coming out with those double Hellions early on, and that's going to allow him to get some scouting, a little bit of map control, but most importantly, try to do a little bit of damage. STV Scout checking out the main. Still no metabolic boost coming out, interestingly enough. So what is Sheth got planned here? Is he going to do Roach Warren? Is he going to go for like a crazy fast layer? That would actually be very intense. Nothing I expect. And there we go, metabolic boost finally coming on through. A little bit delayed there. He could have gotten that a little earlier than he did, but no big deal. Zerglings moving across the map. Here come those double Hellions. We've got 2 Marines situated over there as well. And yes, that double Hellion opening followed up there with that expansion. Again, you get that map control, you do a little bit of damage, but most importantly, you get that scouting up there, and you're pretty much all set to get that expansion down, unless you saw a heavy roach push, but he would be able to scout that out with these Hellions. And then if there were a heavy roach push, he would be getting heavy Marines and coming out with a bunker, and he should be all set. So that's basically how that works. So let's see these Hellions get their map control. We'll first be taking out the Zergling over here, then should be moving to that other tower, and then should be walking right up into the natural expansion of Sheth. Now Sheth trying to protect against those Hellions, even if it's just a few, wants to deny them from getting any scouting information, anything like that. He does just have those 2 queens, didn't manage to make a 3rd yet, so he will be lacking that inject larva over here because of this Hellion defense, but it's probably worth it in his opinion, just to make sure that, you know, he doesn't have to contend with any issues that those Hellions could present. So here we go, Hellions for SeleCT, situated right outside of the natural expansion. That Spinecrawler's in, though, and now that that is in for defense, the Queen will be going back up into the main. Hellions doing a little bit of damage to that creep tumor, not enough to kill it, though, and that Queen is moving down to try to engage, and let's see if he can manage to get the kill. I don't expect it to. We got some Spielings, though, to assist, and uh-oh, that Hellion looking to be in trouble right now. Don't think he's going to stop, because those Spielings will catch up and take him out no problem. So the Hellion's running for dear life right now, trying to do what they can to survive. A little bit bit of micro, trying to keep that healthier Hellion in the front, and he makes it back home. Unbelievably, SeleCT with the micro there. Oh no! Miss micro, losing them. That was very unfortunate. He lost both of them, and that was not necessary. He could have really... That's really too bad. I was really impressed there by SeleCT, even managing to get those back home, though. Sacrificial Overlord moving on in for Sheth right now. That will be dropped here just by a few Marines. Looks like we are going to be seeing Marine Tank plus Medevac play here from SeleCT. That is what is to be expected there. And Sheth spotting that out, so he sees, okay, that's pretty standard. That pretty standard unit composition in TVZ. We do have what looks to be that third expansion. I wonder where he's going to drop it, though. He's going to drop it up here. Yes, he is. So dropping the third up there. SCV Scout checking what would be the probable third, and then situating himself right over there. So actually, wow, SeleCT will not be spotting this out. So very nice. A little tricky play there by Sheth, making SeleCT unaware of that third expansion. Couple of Speedlings, and they will be moving across the map to try to get that map control, given the fact that he took out those early Hellions, feeling comfortable to actually move out there and do that. SeleCT sitting Marine heavy right now. He does have those upgrades coming through. Stimpack is finished. Combat Shield coming on through. Do expect that transition into those tanks as well. A couple Medevacs over here. May actually just be sitting bio heavy though for some drop harass before he works his way up into tank play. We do have that level 1 Terran weapon upgrade coming out. Also, again, that Combat Shield and just churning out those Marines. So still not making use of this factory. He's got another Rax coming out over here as well. So yeah, just sticking bio heavy, at least for the early portion of this game. Couple of Speedlings checking the front. Wants to see if any push is coming, although I don't think he's going to be aware of this Medevac drop that's coming on through. So Sheth not quite prepared for this yet. He doesn't know this is coming, and obviously those Medevacs will avoid the vision that the Zerglings get from that Xel'Naga tower there. So again, we do have this third here for Sheth, which unfortunately for SeleCT he is unaware of, but SeleCT does have this drop coming on through. We'll be dropping right next to that spine. I don't think he realized that that was there, but stimming up, we'll be able to take that down. Let's see how much damage he can do. Does want to try to take out those queens if at all possible. Moving right up into the resource line. SeleCT going to be able to do a bit of damage here. Very nice, wedging those units right in between the mineral patch, preventing the ability for Sheth to get us around there. Very, very nice. And these Stim Marines just going to town right now. One queen's down. Should be taking out the second queen, no problem, and chasing down that third one as well. Is he going to stay on the high ground? There we go. 3 queens down. Sheth in a tough spot right now. These Stim Marines with those combat shields doing so much damage to him, just tearing through. The Overlords are getting dropped here. We've got a couple Mutas. Speedlings trying to engage as well. He just needs to get rid of this Marine threat, and they can continue along his merry way. But fantastic play by Sheth, and taking out... Oh, no, there was still one Muta, unfortunately. I thought he took out those Mutas. So the Medevac gets dropped, and obviously SeleCT losing everything there, but I don't know that that matters. He did a lot of damage. Let's take a look here. And look at that. Sheth very far behind right now. Almost double the resources lost to what SeleCT has, so he needs to retaliate right now. He needs to move out with these Mutas and do a bit of damage. That was absolutely beautiful play there by SeleCT. Looks like SeleCT has spotted out this third expansion, grabbing that creep vision there with his SCV Scout, so he will be moving on to drop now with that one Medevac. We do need to see continuous Marine production here from SeleCT, getting these tanks to deal with any possible Speedlings and Banelings as well. And this small group of Marines will be more than enough to push back that small group of Mutas. But here comes a drop right now at the expansion, and Sheth will be forced to stop mining if he doesn't even end up losing this right now. So the Marines getting dropped, stimming up one at a time, forcing those workers back, and then target firing down that hatchery. Looks like he won't take it out right now, but he's softening it up for a future push, and that's just as good in all honesty. SeleCT will be losing this Medevac, unfortunately. Way too many Mutas in position to take that out right now. That wasn't the most successful drop in the world, but he stopped mining and he weakened this up. You can see right now, lost about a third of its total hit points. So that what that does is it makes it vulnerable for any successive drops that SeleCT will eventually come out with. So he's sitting obviously very Marine heavy, starting to get that second factory for some more tanks here as well. Also moving that command center right on over. He is getting ready to move into his third expansion. The Zergling Scout here for Sheth will be scouting that out. And hopefully we do see Sheth actually move into a fourth sometime soon, given the fact that SeleCT is getting ready to move right on into his third expansion. Couple Marines stimming up, taking out that Zergling, and then continuing along their merry way. We get a lot of Zerglings over here just to defend against any possible additional drops that may come through. Few mutas moving across the map right now. This actually isn't a ton. We've got a total of 9 mutas right now in play, and not all of them are actually here. Only sitting with 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's still a couple mutas sitting idly somewhere, but still, even with this amount of mutas, able to stop some mining, stop the production of that missile turret as well. So doing a bit of damage there. Losing that one muta, I believe that is all he lost. Yes, just losing that one muta. That certainly doesn't help him though. And does he get it? No, he does not. It might be able to kill off. There we go, killing off the turret as well as that SCV. That was actually really, really nice. We've got another dropship coming down, getting that free Overlord kill. Then should be pushing on over here. Needs to be very careful though. We've got that one Baneling plus all of those Speedlings. I've got another Overlord sitting over here. The mutas continue to try to do what they can, although these Marines making that job a little difficult for them. SeleCT's dropship sitting idly over here, realizing that was there and losing the Overlord. We are seeing Sheth respond by bringing down a few more Speedlings, so he should be all set, but at the same time, here comes a push across the middle, and this Sheth will be aware of this because he does have control of those towers. We'll be losing that momentarily, though. Setting up shop there, needs to be careful for those Banelings. We've got some burrowed Banelings, but those are spotted by the scan and taken out without issue. Mutas moving to the backside, though, managed to take out one siege tank. The mutas will be forced away because of all of these Marines, but still grabbing one tank was certainly pretty nice. And let's see if SeleCT decides to continue up this push across the middle, or if he will be continuously trying to drop. We've got this medevac coming over here, and now that the main forces of Sheth are not at that expansion, he's got a great opportunity to drop down here and do a bit of damage. Here comes that continuous push. Hopefully we see that dropship get activated as well. There's a scan, taking out some tumors. Needs to be careful again from those Banelings, moving back to the safety of those tanks there. There's a lot of mutas. Here comes that dropship at the same time. SeleCT could do a lot of damage over here with that dropship. Again, here comes those Marines pushing across the middle. There's that scan, getting rid of a few of those creep tumors there. And that dropship, how much damage does it do? Not enough. The Banelings take care of that, no problem. SeleCT continuing up this push. He's got this expansion up and running right now. Still, Sheth is just on those 3 bases. He would really like to move into that next one. Taking out a medevac there, that big cloud of mutas. Very, very dangerous to Sheth. And Sheth is having to deal with the slow push here from SeleCT. And SeleCT's doing a good job of protecting these tanks. There are a lot of mutas, but I don't know if it's enough. We got a few mutas. Oh, these tanks are going to be taken out right now. Those Marines need to push to engage at the same time. Here comes a push from Speedlings and Banelings. Walking into the tank fire, though, those get taken out. So SeleCT, again, he has to spread himself thin to prevent getting overwhelmed from Speedlings and Banelings, but in doing that, it makes him vulnerable to those mutas. So that's really the big issue with this type of push. He just needs to make sure he's got his Marines scattered enough to be able to protect those tanks and just make sure he doesn't lose any of those reinforcements as well, which is what Sheth appears to be doing. We've got another drop over here for these Marines, and again, with this weekend hatchery, we'll be stimming up and trying to engage against that. Mutas sitting idly over here, and this continuously slow push coming down. The scan did spot a few of those Banelings, however, there are still a few more buried over here. Those mutas trying to do what they can to harass this expansion. Here goes that Marine stim drop over here. The Banelings trying to engage. The Speedlings and Banelings trying to engage, but those two get taken out by that siege line. Looks like this drop will take out that expansion. Mutas forced to push back. They didn't manage to take out that planetary. And oh no, Sheth is losing this. He will be on 2 mining bases now. That's a big problem right now. He needs to get rid of this force in the middle for SeleCT. Mutas engaging those. Unfortunately, here come the Speedlings and Banelings trying to overwhelm. Is this tank spread enough? It doesn't look like it. He has a few more tanks here rallied up over here, and the Speedlings and Banelings overwhelming everything. Unfortunately, his tank line was not deep enough, and those mutas are going to be pushing back with those Banelings. These Marines right here, some stim micro, they're doing a pretty good job. Oh no, getting hit by the Baneling there. Keep in mind though, Sheth has lost this expansion. He is just on 2 mining bases. He has got 18 Zerglings coming through, but again, SeleCT has 3 mining bases. He's got a superior economy right now, so he should be able to continuously reinforce, and that should be pretty good. He did lose so many of his units there, although Sheth is still technically behind in terms of resources lost right now. So let's see if Sheth can manage to break him right now. He's got a few Banelings as well as Speedlings getting ready to push up right now. A couple of mutas, not a ton, but those Banelings should help a lot, especially since they've got those centrifugal hooks. SeleCT does have these siege tanks. He's just unsieging them right now, and oh no, those burrowed Banelings could prove to be an issue right now. We've got a lot of Overlords moving across the map. That's actually, that's interesting. That must be a misrally. I'm going to have to assume that that is what that is. Medevac will be scouting out, checking those expansions. We do have the Muta. He's not sure if there's anything in that Medevac, so he will be coming back with those Mutas to try to deal with that. And again, those burrowed banelings could be very, very dangerous for Select. Hopefully he's aware of the fact that those are there and doesn't lose basically all of his Marines to that, because that could be absolutely devastating. And again, that Medevac moving across the map, scaring Sheth enough to actually move down to try to engage it, because again, he's not sure if that is full or not. Sheth does have an Expo coming up over here as well as here. In terms of the income, again, Select is a little bit ahead right now as mineral gathering at the very least. Here comes a push right now, and let's see if he scans. Beautiful scans, catching those burrowed banelings. We are seeing those unburrow, and one of them manages to get away. Burrowing again, though, in not the best of positions, a little bit too close to that scan. So, yes, Select is trying to push out and get ready to move into another expansion. It looks like, yes, he'll be lifting that off, dropping that down, and getting a planetary over there. Still have a few more burrowed banelings sitting in this position, and Sheth is moving across the map, trying to do what he can with these mutas. He really hasn't been able to do the best job of harassing Select's base with those mutas. He's done a good job of actually engaging the forces, but in terms of base, oh no, a few lone tanks getting sniped down. One gets dropped, a second and third get dropped, and Select losing 3 tanks. That is certainly no bueno at all. A couple of rallied Zerglings, those are free kills for Select, though. I guess that might even up the numbers a bit. That is not the best thing. Here we go, we got a drop coming at this expansion over here. Select trying to take out another Expo. Not sure he's going to be able to, though. We got Speedlings and Banelings mopping up, and there we go, forced to lift off the rest of his forces there. Not able to take out that expansion, unfortunately enough, for Select working his way on up. He's got the tank level 2 upgrades coming through, dropping a couple more racks here. He will be sticking with this composition of Marine tank, feeling pretty comfortable with it. He really just needs to keep up this harass and try to do as much damage as possible. A few Banelings getting caught there, and those get taken out without issue. And again, Select continuing to make his push across the map. He is, again, trying to get some map control as we saw him earlier on, and hopefully he doesn't get overwhelmed like he did in that initial push. So there's a scan, unsieging those tanks, pushing forward. We got that planetary over here as well as a couple turrets to defend against those mutas, and we are going to be seeing that slow push again from Select. Another dropship over here. That gets taken out, though. Didn't manage to take out that hatchery as Select was hoping to do. He's getting ready to push forward. We got a decent spread of Speedlings and Banelings over here. Not sure if it's enough, though. Nice tank spread. Oh, no! Losing so many Marines to those burrowed banelings. Finally, Sheth's plan of burrowed banelings did prevail. We are going to see a push right up into this expansion, though. Select will be trying to take that out. He's got a couple of tanks situated over here. Would be awesome if we got something on the high ground, although that would also be very vulnerable to those mutas. Not seeing, okay, we are seeing a muta counterattack over here, doing a bit of damage, and he's actually in the main right now. But at the same time, Sheth losing this expansion. Is it going to be worth it? The muta's doing what they can to take out the depots over here. Speedlings overwhelming these Marines, forcing them back to that tank line. Sheth did lose that Expo. Mutas have been finally pushed back, though, from these Marines, taking out a few depots, forcing a supply block there. Unfortunately, he wasn't mining for quite a while. I'm guessing he wasn't paying attention. He was focused on the micro over here. Select continuing up this slow push across the middle right now. Speedlings pushing forward, walking into those tanks. Where are those mutas? There we go. They're actually sitting in the middle, trying to cut off any reinforcements for Select. That's actually very, very wise on Sheth's half there. There's the scan. Speedlings and Banelings pushing forward, though. There's only a few tanks. Will it be enough? Here we go, Speedlings and Banelings trying to push and take out one tank. Not enough, though, to take out all of those tanks and those Marines, providing enough DPS to be able to defend. The mutas doing what they can. I believe they did just take out a medevac. Was that enough, though? And oh boy, Select taking out this Expo. That was huge. And right now, Sheth has got no mining bases. This is not looking good for Sheth. Select is in a very strong position right now. Taking out that Expo was incredibly huge for him, and his Marines will be checking for an expansion over here. But even if Select loses his forces in the middle, he has got a great position right now. His income is obviously vastly superior to that of Sheth, and there is the GG from Sheth. All right, wonderful series between these two players. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Looks like Select did prevail in this best of 3. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thanks again, guys. Keep watching and keep owning.